Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my couch. And everybody give Dan a round of applause. Welcome, Dan. Yay. Yay. He's back. So today we wanted to sit down because we haven't actually sat and just talked to you guys in a while. And we haven't done that together. So we wanted to do that today. And I actually went on Instagram and asked for just questions.
Sorry if I'm shuffling around. I'm a shuffler.
He's a shuffler. He has a hard time sitting still. That's okay. I was pretty excited because when I posted on Instagram that we wanted to take questions from you guys, I got a wide array of questions, which...
Where am I looking? Where's the camera?
Right
here.
The
green dot.
The green dot. Yes, So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna dive right in. All of these are in no particular order. Literally just tons of questions. The first question at the top is from Paul. Is it annoying to start off with that?
No.
Okay. All right, so...
What's up, Paul? I see you.
He sees you, Paul. That's Paul Olius, or from the Paul and Morgan show. And his question, for some reason, is popping up at like the top. I don't know if it's because he's the most recent person to ask or what, but this is what the question says. How did the pushback and hate you guys received affect your marriage? So we got like 5 different versions of that question last night. Maybe honestly more than that. A lot of people are just like, so how did you guys handle everything that went down? You look like you want to say something. I already told you my thoughts last night. Dude, guys, I've said this before, and if you actually watch my videos, you know I've said this. The last 8 months have been crazy. Probably the biggest thing I told him last night was the amount of, sadness, and anger, not towards each other, although when you're dealing with a lot of stress, there can obviously be some tension together, but the amount of sadness that we experience together, like I've been with Dan for 15 years now, and we've just never gone through anything like just where we were so sad for
Well, I'll have to back up a little bit.
Go for it.
The whole cancellation thing, that's such a unique experience that not very many people period go through. So yeah, it's just a bit shocking, but I don't know. You mentioned sadness. I know you felt really sad about that, but I felt sad about losing my dog.
Yeah.
And there was that whole time period before it happened, and then after, and then when everything went down online, it kind of like, I was kind of grateful for it in some degree, because it like just snapped me out of this dark, deep pit that I was in. I was so sad about missing my dog.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine like what normal life felt like. And then all of that happened, and my mind is somewhere else, and I'm, it's not like I was over it, but I didn't shed a tear over any of the stuff that went down online.
Well, yeah, and not to negate you. Well, first off, that's really interesting, a way to put it, because like snapping us out of it, I can totally see that in you looking back, that it was like there was a flip from like just the devastation around Bowser into, I don't know what it was, not defense mode, but like protection mode, because it happened so fast, like, and it was so dramatic the way it all unfolded. And I don't want to say, like I said, not to negate you, but I guess just to give like an honest picture. Like I have this saying that my therapist used to say to me called emotions come in, or not called it, say emotions come in sets of 3. And to me, what that really just means is that like there's a lot of emotions in any given, situation at a time. You can be happy and sad about something at the same time, like getting married. That's a good example. Right before you walked down the aisle, you're not, at least for me, I wasn't just excited. I was also scared. I was also sad, because you're like saying goodbye to a different chapter. It's like, oh, childhood is done. So you can feel a lot of different emotions. So once again, to say that statement, not to negate you, I think you were sad over everything that unfolded, but it wasn't so...
I didn't cry.
It wasn't...
I cried a lot about my dog.
Yeah. Well, and we cried dealing with the aftermath, and that's what I mean. Like, you had to deal with me, and I had to deal with you, and we were processing everything very differently in very different ways because he's a man and I'm a woman and we have very different personalities, you know, like Dan is literally an engineer. And I feel like when you say that someone's an engineer, it's like you kind of have an idea of what their personality is like. And I'm literally a girl that's been making videos since before YouTube was even a thing. So that was the thing. I was answering like sadness, like processing that together was hard. But it's really been deepening and bonding. And that was the point of what I said last night was like, we've been through a lot in the last 8 months, just a lot of, if you want to call it fighting, a lot of like tension, figuring things out, especially before we came back to the internet, like that initial, like back away, move to Idaho, off the internet, not saying anything. That was really hard. I mentioned this in videos. Yeah, I cried for like a month and a half, literally.
There was a lot of, decisions that had to be made, and we were under a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it was just frustrating to have to be forced through this huge life change. Some people go through way worse things.
Yeah.
And people that we know personally, it's like what they went through doesn't even compare to what we went through. It seems silly to be like, oh, it's sad.
But it doesn't take away from how hard it was.
Right.
So like even all that, it's like our situation was still and is still in some ways hard because our life was completely flipped. I mean, you guys know that, right? That this was our income for a long time and everything just completely changed. And, you know, I am much more a person that like, I hate the phrase, like, I want everyone to like me because it sounds so shallow. But I guess you could put it that way and like wanting people to be okay. And like, you know, when people were coming at us, we both had very different ways we wanted to respond. Like, I kind of didn't want to address anyone. It was like, whatever, they're going to say what they're going to say. Dan kind of wanted to answer everyone because the thing is, it was all so outrageous and so much fake news. Like, I still get comments every single day, everywhere, from people being not only horrible to both of us, but also like just lies. like I'm like, I want to write back to everyone, like, where did you even hear that? And that is wrong.
It's comical because people's like information is so off. They don't even know the right name. Like the nuance makes a big difference.
Yes!
They can't even get his age even remotely right.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody knew my dog.
Dude.
They just saw the great photos that we were able to take of him. So it's like,
it's very surreal.
All these people, they wanted to see us fall apart. There's so many videos that were made about us and they all are saying the same thing. That's how the media works to control a mass population. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't have to be true. Just everybody has to be in agreement, and then you're able to move them around and do whatever you want with them. So all these channels, they're trash. It's like a gossip magazine.
It's pretty bad.
So these poor celebrities, you call them poor celebrities, but these magazines they have to write fake, horrible trash about these people because that's their business. So there's tons of YouTube channels now that are just trash. And so that's what they give to you because they have an audience that loves to consume the trash. But it makes you feel bad being so angry at someone that you don't know. It doesn't hurt me. A lot of the times it makes me roll and laugh. It's so funny because it's so off and backwards, and people want to hurt us so bad, but the trick is it's hurting yourself.
Dude,
You're hurting yourself. The trash that's coming in, being angry, especially at someone that you don't know, doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel awful. YouTube does a anti-bullying campaign for the whole year.
My gosh.
They pay tons of the most popular YouTube people to spread anti-bullying information, yet the same people with the blue check marks are the biggest bullies because all they gotta do is just say something. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be what everyone else is saying. And then the audience is the chess piece and is moved.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say that still astonishes me in retrospect. Like some of the YouTubers that turned on me, it still shocks me because I'm like, man, don't you know how this goes? Like people lie about you and you get so upset about it, but then you hear something from someone else and you're quick to turn. And I said to a friend the other night, I was like, yeah, all it shows me is just that all these people hated me the whole time and they were looking for a reason to come down on me. Yeah, basically the friend was like, no, peer pressure is a thing and they don't want to deal with the mob. Because that was the thing, whether they're real people or not, because I'm not convinced, but I just wonder how many trolls are actually real people, honestly. But it just, I think people didn't want to deal with that. So a lot of people turned on us because it was just easier to be like, oh yeah, that was horrible and disgusting and I don't support them, than even maybe to not say anything.
Yeah, but there were some blue checkmark people.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're saying.
Millions of subscribers. They sent me
threatening
DMs and then they deleted them after 10 minutes. That could only mean one thing.
They knew they could get sued.
No,
just kidding.
It's because they're the ones that are afraid. They're the ones that are afraid. Not me. Why would you send me a threatening DM and then delete it?
Now, I will say this. Someone told me something the other day. Yes, that was insane, by the way. When that was happening, I couldn't even believe it. And some of them, like I've hung out with them and it was like, what? But someone told me a phrase the other day, and this kind of has nothing to do with this, but it kind of does. It's a good little insight even into the whole situation. They said, people who are intellectual view life as a comedy and people who are emotional view it as a tragedy. So that gives you good insight even into the last 8 months. I was very emotional. I was very sad. All these people don't know my heart. They can't know my heart. And realizing that our hearts, but I'm speaking for myself, was heartbreaking and very, very hard. I've spent a lot of time crying through Psalms, a lot of time realizing like, I have to just let people hate me, because also even from the perspective from my eyes, I've said this before, but like the message of the gospel, it's like I'm worse than what they say of me and us. And so that's been, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question because this topic is gonna come up in other ways and other questions, but I wanna keep going.
But it's not the purpose of this video.
It's not the purpose of this video, but it did feel like we can't say, ask us anything, and then not address what feels like the elephant in the room in some ways still. Okay, so random questions. Someone said chickens again, question mark. That's the plan. That's the plan. Then we got this next question. What was the total cost of home birthing? And I want to say that was around $5,000, right?
$5,000.
Yeah, the average cost across the U.S., to my knowledge, is anywhere in the ballpark from $3,000 to $5,000, depending on
$5,500 or
how bougie your situation is.
There was 2 packages.
We got the bougie package.
Bougie? No, there's just 2 packages.
Well, the more expensive bougie one.
Hey, you get a midwife to come over and do the thing, and then it's see you later. Or the other package, it costs like an extra $1,500. You rent the big inflatable pool, and then you also get a 24-hour service of doula, which who cares about the pool? We had the bathtub. That 24 hours was incredible.
But I did want the pool in it.
We had the whole moment, you know, they measure, weigh, do the whole thing, and then the baby goes to sleep, but you're wiped out. So we went to sleep. Everybody went to sleep for like 5 hours.
Yes.
And the baby was totally taken care of.
By the doula in the next
and
room.
Then, but also it's like the whole 24 hours of us, you know, getting a break. There's so much like adrenaline that's pumping through your veins, that you crash and
yeah. So Colleen Neck says, what is the best way, I know she means best way though, that you have found to deal with anxiety? And then she also asked why my parents picked Idaho, which that's a short, easy question that I've answered a bunch, but I can summarize that. But my parents came up for their anniversary last year because I had recommended it to them, because the year before, when things started really getting crazy in the country, I made a joke about Idaho's homeschooling laws and how we should move there. I was kind of kidding. They came up for their anniversary. They fell in love. My family's wanted to be in the mountains most of my life. And so now it's just like finally happened. It's kind of crazy.
We're in the mountains.
We're in the mountains. It's crazy to look outside and see them. And then what's the best way you found to deal with anxiety? This is kind of like a multiple answer situation. Eating regularly.
Drinking bone broth.
Oh my gosh, I've been drinking bone broth lately, guys, and it's like amazing. That does kind of go in the side of eating regularly. Now, I will say a lot of you guys were commenting on my last videos about me being pregnant because I've been nauseous for like 6 weeks. And actually within the last few days, my nausea has gotten like so much better. And I don't know if it's because I had a stomach bug, because stomach things have been going around, or if it's been anxiety, or it's the bone broth. But as a general rule, eating consistently helps with anxiety. Like for me, keeping my blood sugar kind of level, just the holistic things, right? Getting good sleep, drinking water, not overdoing it on the caffeine when possible. Those are kind of my main things. And then staying active, right? Like walks, getting outside, sunshine, all of that. And then obviously, I'm just gonna throw this out there. This is probably the first thing I should have started with, and now I feel kind of lame, but trying my best to give my cares, my burdens to the Lord. We were hearing about this at church on Sunday, just talking about like trusting God, and like, do you really trust God? Like, cause he's got your back. Like you can be cool is what the pastor was saying. You know, you can be chill because he's got your back.
If he is for us, then who can be against us?
Yeah. And that's something that that's been tested a lot for me this last year. But that's a really big thing.
You guys don't need to ask her if she's pregnant, because she'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys. I'm not like super annoyed when you guys ask, so I don't want you to be like, ooh. But it is like, a little sad.
Don't worry, you'll find out.
That's exactly it. You guys are gonna know when it happens. Okay, so a couple good questions. How many kids do you guys want?
Man,
one kid at a time.
I didn't know I was gonna be in Idaho.
Dude, right?
Oh, we're just gonna roll with it.
Well, that was the next question. Someone asked, do you think you'll live the rest of your life in Idaho? So that's funny that you said that.
I've lived in Singapore. I never thought I would live in Asia.
That's exactly it.
But it's like, I just roll with it, man. Let's go. So maybe not. I've lived in California, Asia.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Is that it?
I think so. But different places around LA. Like we moved like 8 times around Los Angeles. And how many kids you want? Like literally, I'm just trying to get a second kid right now. If like make-believe life is, you know, and is happening and my age isn't a thing, I keep joking that I want 5. But for me to have 5 children at this point is literally like, that would be like a complete miracle. I mean, every life is a miracle, so it's all a God thing. But 1 kid at a time is the point, and that's a weird way to sit too.
Can't predict the future. Don't want to predict the future, and because it never works.
That's exactly it. So that's where we're at. We're flexible.
Yeah, it took us a long time to have get Logan here. So
I say that all the time. I'm like, I'm 34. Am I going to be 35? I'm going to be 35 in May. I can't believe it. I don't feel like it. I know that's the later end of fertility, and my brain almost can't even accept it.
That's also when a lot of people get together in the first place. So I'm not sweating it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what God has for us.
Kind of am.
just a little bit. We do really want another baby. We do really want another baby. I looked crazy when I said we want another baby, but it's true. Someone said, can you tell us what you do for skincare? Your skin looks great. Are you still doing lasers? Thank you. My skin.
Bone broth.
My skin has been completely left alone since we left Tennessee. I've never had like less beauty pampering done to me in like my whole teenage / adult life. Like I usually have all these things I do. I let my hair go for a while. I'm still currently honestly using cuticle cream as my face moisturizer. Like I haven't even got a new face moisturizer yet because like all the ones I traveled with from Tennessee like stayed in the storage unit too long, and I just felt like this probably isn't great. One of them gave me a rash. I was like, I think these are like expired from like the heat and the cold and whatever.
Yeah, you went from visiting Heather Happy a bunch of times to
nothing. Yeah. But I think it's been good.
Cold turkey.
Yes, I think it's been good though, because hey, the cuticle cream I'm using is really good. And I think it's honestly, and this is, I decided this when I kind of realized I don't have the energy or the strength or the capability, time, money, whatever, to like do all my stuff. I was just like, we'll just call this a break for my skin. I've been lasering my face off now for like 7 years. And so I'm like, we'll just let my skin be. And so like most days I'm not wearing makeup, you know, whatever. So I've really been in a resting phase for my skin. So that's the answer to that. What vegetables do you plan to grow this year? So many. Squashes.
Well, we've already got garlic growing in the back.
Yeah.
So I have a little garden bed back there, and it's frozen solid, but I see the garlic poking up. A little over 30 bulbs planted back there. So
yeah,
we've done garlic once before, and
it was so cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get our herb garden planted, and you know, onions and potatoes and tomatoes and different squash. And it's just going to be really exciting. It's going to be really interesting because we're in a completely different grow zone, obviously.
Yeah, potatoes for sure. Tomatoes, obviously, those are the easiest. Carrots.
Oh, carrots. Yes, carrots for sure.
Arugula did awesome last year. We love arugula, so we'll be doing that. Not everything is going to happen all at once. I mean, we don't even have a greenhouse, but I would like to get a greenhouse so that we can start from the seed earlier and
yeah, because we live in such a cold climate now. Like we have such a shorter growing season. It seems like only like the people who how do you word this, can be serious gardeners up here are the ones that have greenhouses.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do serious gardening without it, but you're going to be so shortened in your period. So we
have a lot of space back there to do a lot. So
I'm very interested to see what we end up doing.
I do want to plant a fruit tree in the front yard.
I want to plant 3 fruit trees. Cherry, pear, apple.
We definitely don't have enough room for that.
Yeah, I think
unless I knock down it's like some random red maple tree or whatever that looks pretty but doesn't produce anything. But
yeah, we'll see.
I know how to plant a tree properly so that it gets rooted really deep and produces fruit faster.
He really
up
definitely.
to 4 times faster. I've never done it before, but it's all in the technique, baby.
Someone said looking to move from California to Tennessee. Pros and cons. We should know.
Pros: no more state tax.
Oh, that's a good answer. Yeah, I forgot about that. That
pro.
was really a big pro. Car registration is about 1 billion times cheaper. Like literally we paid like 90% less than what we paid to register in California.
You'll just realize once you leave California, you're like, wow, I thought I lived in a free country, but now I do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and remember, Dan and I are native Californians, and we're not only native Californians, we're native Angelinos. We, for a period of time, thought we were going to live there our whole life. Like, why would we go anywhere else? Like, California, baby. And just everything that's unfolded, and not even just in the last 2 years, because we moved to Tennessee before everything unfolded. So we were already vibing like, we got to get out of here for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, pros: taxes, registration,
landscapes, beautiful.
If you consider,
you'll have weather.
I was just going to say that.
Lightning storms. Oh, they're so beautiful.
A little terrifying, but beautiful. I know. When you knew you were done and you're like, oh good, we're safe, you almost loved it more in retrospect because you're like, that's good, we didn't die. But it was a little bit scary at moments, being like, is a tornado gonna come pummeling down the street? Because you guys know we experienced a tornado in Nashville when we lived there. It was crazy, and like our church got hit, and like our whole main Main Street got hit, it was crazy.
But we also, one of the first things that we noticed when we moved there was just the general population was way nicer, more friendlier, like waving hi. Like you can have a full-on conversation with the checker once you get to the front of the line, but
everyone is in the same hurry.
If the checker is not done with what they're saying to you, they will hold up the line to finish the conversation, but nobody else in line looks annoyed.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just different.
It's a very like stranger friendly culture. So like in LA, we would joke that like kind of near the very end, our last few weeks, I remember going on a walk with Dan, and we passed someone on a walk, and you know they do the obligatory like how you doing, but that's all it was. It was obligatory because then we look at, I'm like, oh, I'm doing good. How about you? But then it's like, oh, he just walked by, wouldn't even look at me, didn't even give me a like, and that's not slamming this one, you know, person. Maybe he didn't hear me, but that was kind of the general culture. It's just different.
To maybe give someone the smile, but it was more regular to just pass someone and you want to make eye contact, but
that's a good way to put it. Yeah, so just a different stranger culture, like if that makes sense. Just general friendliness.
What are the cons?
Well, if you don't like the weather, that could be a con.
If you love sushi, con.
Or Mexican food,
There's
potentially.
no good sushi out there at all. I've tried a bunch of restaurants. Sorry, all of Nashville, you don't know how to make sushi.
Well, and I will say the summers, like, it's beautiful because everything looks like you're in a movie with like the rolling hills. That's my stomach growling if you heard it. I'm getting hungry. But summers were a little bit hard because early summer, beautiful. End of summer going into fall, beautiful. Deep midsummer, which that's hard anywhere, right? Here we have our own things that we experienced. But I couldn't even hardly go outside because I would get eaten alive by mosquitoes. We were used to humidity from living in Singapore because it was definitely more humid when we, in Singapore. But Nashville or Tennessee, like it brought the mosquitoes.
Yeah, well, it's because we're so close to the Cumberland River, so you're in a swampland. So the further you get away from the swamp, the river, you're gonna get less mosquitoes.
I guess I just consider all of it swampy because it's raining so much and it's so humid, but it's beautiful, and all of that rain and that humidity creates also a really lush, beautiful landscape, which is what I loved seeing when we got there, because LA is essentially a desert, and the greenery is just, mostly from pumped in stuff, Oh, this is an interesting one because we were just talking about this last night. Someone said, do you regret any of your tattoos? I'm sorry, I'm screenshotting this. That's what's happening. We were lying in bed last night and Dan looked over at me and he was like, I really like your tattoo.
I say that all the time.
He does, yeah, he says it all the time. I don't. That's actually the simple umbrella answer. I don't regret my tattoos. But remember that saying I said at the beginning of like emotions come in sets of 3. There have been moments where I look and all of a sudden I'm like, holy Toledo, I like can't get it off. Like it's there forever. But luckily so far, talk to me in like 10, 15 years, it's panned out how I hoped, in the sense of like both of my tattoos are things that I'm like, I just don't foresee being like, why over them later, because they both have to do with my faith, and they're both things that are important to me. So, yeah, no is the short answer, but that's funny because we were just talking about
no tattoos for me.
Yeah, no tattoos for him. He almost got a full back tattoo. Did not do that. Okay, someone said, is Dan still welding?
I weld all the time. I did in the last video. I am a certified welder for structural steel and multiple processes, and I'm a certified welding inspector. Yes, I'm a highly qualified individual in my field.
Hey!
Do I do it professionally full time? Not at this time.
Yeah, not at this time. Someone asked though, how have your marriage roles evolved since you evolved from LA life to homestead life? Because I guess to those of you that don't know, you probably all know, but to summarize that, it's like we're both Angelinos. We grew up in LA. I've been working since I was 14, teaching dance, running shows, like live shows, then doing, commercials, films, theme parks, plays, YouTube, all of that kind of stuff. And when we were in LA, we were still living, I mean, honestly, we were like running production companies and we were trying to like build stuff. To those of you that have been around long enough, you know that we used to be part of a YouTube channel that started off as a collaborative like YouTube channel and turned into literally a production company where we were like hiring people. It was called Just Like That. And we were hiring people to help with all of the different facets. We were working with different companies on things. And it just...
We liked working with other people.
Yeah.
We liked blessing other people with jobs and stuff like that. Man, it leached a lot of time from us.
It leached a lot of time.
Yeah, just always busy. But then in contrast, taking care of like lots of living things is life bringing.
Yes. Yes. And what happened to me, I think I've told this before. I remember listening to this book called Present Over Perfect by Shauna Niequist. She's the daughter of a pastor of like a mega church in Chicago. And she's a writer too. I love her writing style. I've said that a billion times. But her book, Present Over Perfect, I remember reading it, listening to it. And I was walking in my kitchen in our home before we went to Nashville. And the life that she was describing was so different than the life path that I was on. Like the trajectory I was going was not gonna land me where she was, like what she was talking about. And it like really hit me. And I remember looking out over the lake in Bridgeport and it was like one of those moments, those pivotal moments of just being like, I can't do this anymore. Like this is not gonna, like I felt so emotional listening to her words and her life with her children and the moments she wanted to hold on to, and I just realized none of this is setting me up for that. The building of a production company was going so slowly, it was so tedious, and nothing is guaranteed. And at that point, I can't even say I was having a good time at the end. Like, he's right. We had a lot of great memories, a lot of good times. If you watch that channel, you know we had a lot of fun. But by the end, I wasn't having fun anymore. And even if I was, life's not just about fun. But with that feeling being gone, I was just like, what am I doing? And that's really also when my age started to hit me. That's also when I started to realize, okay, I've worked like the last 2 years to try to heal my body to maybe have a kid one day. And then I was like, I can't, I'm not getting any better. I'm not gonna be able to carry a child. And then that's when it started leading into like, maybe we need to adopt. And then that's when we decided to move. And then we got to Nashville and then I started growing houseplants. And I was like, I love having houseplants. And it was so fun watching things grow, and it was slower. And making videos on our own at home, I was like, this is what I did growing up. Like I had fun with a group, but like, this is who I am. I'm like I don't want to say I'm a solo video maker, but kind of like that's what I did as a kid. I consider myself almost kind of like a version of a writer. Like it's a little bit alone, but not the same and not fully. And so then it turned into plants, and then the plants turned into like, we should have a garden. And then it turned into, I'm ready to grow my family, our family. And then we went down the path of adoption and fostering and looking at all of that. And so I don't know, I'm summarizing saying it was just one thing after the other.
Let me ask you a question for the people to piggyback off of a little bit, something that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like all your body aches and pains. Has your body improved since your pregnancy?
That's a good question, Dan, man. I'm eating my hair. I'm choking on my hair. Yes. Now, I guess, yeah, in saying that, I didn't really explain all the little like gaps leading up to that because I originally thought, okay, I want to grow my family. I can't have a biological child, though my body's not going to be able to handle it. And I worked through that thought with my therapist a lot, of her making me realize, hey, you are making an educated guess, but it's just a guess and you could be wrong. And a lot of women actually get better after they have a baby. Like people's immune, sorry, I keep touching my hair, it's driving me crazy. People's immune issues, like if they have autoimmune issues, can sometimes pull back, recede, and lots of things can just change, right? But I was like, that's not gonna be me. And basically, you guys know, through the process of like the foster care stuff, the adoption stuff, I ended up getting to the point where I was like, okay, I don't know for sure that I can't handle this, and am I really ready to commit to wave goodbye to my fertility? Like, I know this is what you've been pursuing, Nikki, but are you really ready to, especially after the amount of time that we did it? You know, someone else in here was asking about our opinion of adoption and if it's changed, and that's a complicated answer, but in that timeline, yes, it had changed by the end. It was like, okay, we can circle back to this later. I can't with my fertility. And it was a little bit of a gamble, like, okay, we'll see how my body handles this. But my body handled it well. Like, other than the nausea, I handled it really well. And like, I am definitely stronger physically now than I was before having a baby. I can't say it's because of having a baby. In fact, I don't even think I would insinuate that, although maybe that's part of it. I've said this before, I actually think it's the change in my diet, because I was vegetarian for a long time. And even when I wasn't vegetarian, I was always someone that was like real weird about animal products. And now within the last like 3 years, for the first time in my life, kind of just because it was this feeling of like, you know, that definition, like the definition of insanity, or that saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That was kind of what it was. It was like, I've never been someone who's gone out of my way to get protein via animal products and, you know, like the bone broth thing. I've never been like that. Why not try something different? You've done this other thing for so long. So yeah, I mean, I physically, joint wise, feel the best I felt in a long time. I will say I'm not really super active now. Like, I don't really, you know, I'm not at dance classes. I'm not taking heavy athletic classes, but for where I'm at in my life right now, which is like gentle stretching, Pilates, and raising a toddler, I'm doing good. Like, I can even pick Logan up most days. Like, I just like,
there was a long period where
I couldn't. Yeah, shortly after he was born, I had thrown my neck out, and I threw my back out later, and you guys know that was a big reason why I pumped instead of breastfeeding. But yeah. How has your faith...
How do you pick?
I don't know how you pick. There's so many good questions. How has your faith gotten you through this difficult time recently? I always look at you because I don't want to start blabbering if you're going to say something.
Man, it's like we're really just trusting in God and not in our own understanding or like, what are we capable of? Like, almost nothing without God.
Yeah.
So I say almost nothing, absolutely nothing. So yeah, we need the reminders. That's why it's good to go to church and hear from someone that really knows what they're talking about. But which
that's been very nice since you know, I don't know if I should even say this, but you guys know we're like low-key anti-maskers, right? We didn't mask in our last town. We just don't mask. And Idaho, and specifically this area, like everyone's on that same wavelength. So even from like a church perspective, it's really nice to be able to like go to church and see people's faces and interact with them in that way. And our friend was visiting from California the last few days, and he's just like, he's been fully masked for 2 years, and he's just overwhelmed with getting to see people's faces. And so I know that's not a church subject, but kind of, because it's like such a different church experience when you can see people. You know, yeah, for me, I almost don't even really have an answer, because a few people have asked me like, what do you think God's teaching you through all of this? I just talked about this last week at small group, and I literally said, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
humility?
Yeah, geez, right? Yeah. Oh, that. I think that there's a lot of lessons he's teaching us through this, but I think we're still processing it. Trusting him exactly is a big part of it. It's hard because we want to like have, you know, everything figured out and all these specific plans laid out, but you really just got to keep taking one step at a time. Was the deep sigh, because you just, yes, exactly. We want to have everything all figured out.
Give us this day our daily bread.
That's exactly it.
Please lock in my retirement so that I can sleep easy tonight.
It's been a trip, and we're still figuring out like our theology, if that's how you want to word it. Like Dan and I were just saying, we're about to start doing like a bunch of church hopping in the best way. We've been, you know, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, because we haven't really settled on a church, and we haven't been able to visit church as frequently because we've had sickness going around. Logan does not want to go to childcare, but my mom recently told us that she'll watch Logan on Sundays for a while till he's more comfortable, so we can start visiting churches around town, and we're really excited. But our theology has evolved a lot in the last 4 years, and I say it's like both. Our theology has evolved, but we don't really know how to explain to you what our theology is because we're still figuring it out. We do a lot of thinking and listening and praying, like sermons and reading, and we're just sorting things out. So yeah, that's a nice question. This one says, what is your favorite thing about how the other person parents? I love that.
I feel like my son is so sweet
Oh,
because of his mommy.
oh.
Oh my gosh. She reads to him so much and sings him to sleep. Every time she tells me she's singing him to sleep, it makes me so happy.
You notice how I'm just smiling and taking it in.
Yeah. It's like she'll go in to put him to sleep and she comes out after a few minutes. It's like, yeah, he just asked me to sing to him and then he curled in and fell asleep.
I love singing that. It makes my heart so happy to know that my son loves my singing so much he will beg for it. Oh, sing Amazing Grace! Or whatever. We have a few songs, but that's one of his favorites.
And she feeds him such nutritious food. And yeah, he's just such a sweet boy, and the things that he says, it's so nice.
That's really sweet. Thank you. I think one of my favorite things about you is with parenting him is that you really care about connecting with him. We've talked a lot in our marriage about how we feel like society in general kind of sets up a parenting dynamic sometimes to be that the dad is like totally disconnected. Like even sometimes and you know, we're all kind of a little bit of a product of our circumstances to a degree. But even amongst like the traditional circles, it's like, I think sometimes there can be this thing of like the dad is separate and there'll be a disconnect, and then it's like the mom and the kids. And I really appreciate, like besides work, because I know that even if you have to take an outside full-time job at some point, that this is just how you are, but you're very, just you want to connect with him. You're with him, you're involved with him, and you love teaching him new things. You love experiencing new things with him, and he's not just like the baby.
I love watching my son grow like a weed. Like some mornings he'll wake up and it's like, I haven't noticed it as much in like the recent weeks, but there's been so many times where he'll wake up and you're like, oh, he just got a fresh download. He wasn't able to do this yesterday, but he's completely different right now.
Gosh.
You can see it in his eyes, the way he reacts, and dude, he's changing so fast, and it's like the power is being turned on in so many different areas in this little kid.
I love that, an upgrade, like a computer program. Well, on those notes, someone also said, how do you manage to do so much stuff every day? I struggle with a toddler. So first off, comparison is real.
It doesn't feel like it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We feel often like we're not getting enough done. Like it is so hard, honestly, to do anything with him most days. So right now he's actually next door with Auntie, and there's kind of like a couple answers to this. So yeah, like I said, first part, we don't feel like it. In fact, most days we're having to pump each other up. Like, it's okay. We did what we could do today.
He just turned 2. I'm still like, you've been alive for
2 years.
I feel like all the time I'm like, how are we going to be able to make it to tomorrow or next week? Because
there's so much happening.
There's so much, I don't know how to worry this. Like, it's just a burden of responsibility, but it's not a burden.
Yeah, burdens
it's the responsibility that you have over this person is a great deal.
Yes.
But it's such a privilege.
Yeah.
And I want to do it again, but
but it's hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's just extremely worth it.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say too, is like, keep in mind, he's chiming in with me. We're together most of the time. So anything you see me doing, you have to always remember I have Dan, so I have another person helping me. But now also we have grandma and grandpa and auntie and uncle next door. So like right now we were able to schedule it where it was like, okay, we want to film this video. He's going to go with auntie for 2 hours. And that's huge, like so much help. And then the last thing I want to say is that my videos are my art. Like I don't make them from the perspective of like, I just want to make everything look perfect, but I like aesthetic. And so when I'm filming things or shooting, like most of the time I only take out my camera if it's like all of a sudden my eyeballs click onto something that I'm like, oh, that's beautiful, or like, oh, I want to capture that. And then I put it together and I like telling it like a little story, like a little movie, like a documentary to hopefully encourage peace. That's what, there's this YouTuber, Isabel Page, and she says that. And our videos are not the same, but I liked that phrase. And so looking at that, my point, and then thinking that that's any type of reality of like my life with a toddler is not accurate. Like I just capture beautiful moments. I try to share really great times. So keep all of those things in mind. I have help. I'm shooting and sharing just beautiful moments. And yeah. Okay, and that same person actually asked, this is kind of random, but did you move to Idaho sooner because of being canceled? Now, I will say, this kind of will use this as a plug for my Patreon. If you're not on my Patreon, I came to Patreon, you know, earlier on, I think not even earlier than my YouTube, but I was more regular there because of the sponsorship situation. But one of the videos that I did was what it was like to be canceled, like what it was really like. And so I have a couple like more intimate videos over on there. And if you sign up, you get to see all the old videos as well as my upcoming videos. So just to answer that question.
Which, by the way, thank you to all of our patrons.
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. If you're not on Patreon, then sign up.
Link below if you want to check it out.
You know, and if you feel like you want to drop a little tip in the tip jar for your favorite YouTubers, yeah, it's what it is.
That is, yeah, and you get extra content too.
Sign up for your whole life. It could just be a tip in the tip jar.
I talked about that. That was kind of my point of bringing that up, was I talked about that on Patreon. But the short answer is yes. We were not planning to be Idaho. We were not planning to be in Idaho as fast as we were. We thought we were going to be moving to Idaho last year at some point, but we did not expect it to be that fast. And when everything happened, I was in such a cuckoo mental state, like had a mental breakdown. And so my mom came to Idaho like very fast, and we were just like, what do we even do? Or to Tennessee.
Well,
and we were like, what are we even doing here anymore? Like death threats were coming in. I was freaking out. We were like, let's just go. Let's just move into my parents' basement and get out of here.
We had talked about moving to Idaho, but there had been no decision made.
Yeah, no.
When everything went down, it's like, let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
We don't have any reason to stay right now, so let's just go and be next to family. So it definitely catapulted
like way faster.
Yeah,
because I still can't believe, looking back, sometimes I'm like, whoa, we spent 3.5 years there building a life, and then we just like left.
Yeah, a friend of mine sold the house for us, and I had mentioned to him a month or two prior that it's like, hey, I think I'm gonna want to sell my house, but maybe in July, late summer, maybe. So that's what I had told him, but we still had no plans. And so when everything went down, I was like, okay, let's just get the heck out of here.
Yeah, and I low-key, I can't say I regret us moving that fast because the timing was perfect in retrospect, and I think that's probably a big reason why we got this house, because the way everything lined up. But there is a part of me, remember that whole emotions come in sets of 3? There is part of me at points that has thought like, man, that was way too fast. Like, just like the speed of not, I don't know, I don't want to say we didn't get to say bye to people, but like in some ways, but also, like I said, emotions come in sets of 3, right? Like I don't fully hold on to that. And the situation that we went through was so insane. We were not in our right minds.
If we had planned the move, it would have happened slower than it did and a lot smoother than it did. And we would have been able to bring more of our things here. Yeah, we were forced into a position where we had to get rid of a lot of stuff because it's expensive moving or having someone else help you move all your things to another state. Because I did not drive the U-Haul. We packed up the whole house in the boxes, but also left. We just got on a plane and left.
Dude, we literally
everything that we owned was still in my house. A lot of it was in boxes, but yeah, we were just only able to take what fit in the containers that we rented. So, dude,
what a trip! It just
my least favorite move by far.
Oh, your least? Yes. Yes, it was traumatizing. It was full of lots of tears, some late nights just to get us out of town. And yeah, so definitely we moved faster because of the cancellation, and it had to happen because I was already reaching my limit being in a fully masked city anyways. Like I was
there's lots of people that we loved out there.
Yes.
It was like, I feel like we didn't have enough time to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, that's definitely what it felt like. So if there's any like regrets, you could kind of say that, but also, like I said, we were kind of backed into a corner, and I get why, like looking at past self, I'm like, it's okay, Nikki, I know why you did that. Like we felt like we had to, and we had never experienced anything like that, and there was no warning, and I wasn't used to people texting me death threats, like just crazy.
But it's just really amazing to see in hindsight the blessings that we got, and just how everything ended up playing out, and like with this house. And I feel blessed with the opportunity to get a house that I had to destroy but start over from a blank slate.
Dude,
like, you know, a project that I got to work on, and
you've done such a good job with it. Holy moly.
Yeah, I like doing this stuff, but I've never done it before, so every step along the way I just had to figure out the solution and
someone is asking a question like that.
Repair and build everything from scratch.
This girl says, for Dan, what was the hardest part of what's the hardest part of redoing the new house?
Well, doing it by yourself. I didn't have any help because I didn't want to pay for help.
But that's only partially true.
If you have at least one helper, a job can go up to 4 times faster. But I like working on my own too because I can. Yeah. I know how to figure out how to move very heavy things by myself, and I'm not a big dude, but I can.
You can do it.
Yeah. Coordinating. Getting everything and all the steps done and in the right order. It's like I have to sit there awake at night figuring out, like, I know these are the things that I gotta do, but there's a whole list of 10 to 12 things that must happen before, and thank God I realized this, because if I would have gotten ahead of myself, things could get more difficult. So none of it was easy because it's not like I started building the house from the ground up. I had to demolish it and then repair it and then start over and then fix other things along the way. Like, nothing worked. I had to replace the floors, the toilets, all the plumbing. I had to redo all the electrical, and I'm not a plumber or an electrician. I just know how it works and I know how to put it together.
Well, yeah, and you can find everything on YouTube. So if you're already in that, you're already like Dan, you can find the information online.
Yes, I was able to consult the
interwebs.
Internet. Nothing was too difficult because I was able to get it all done. But I would say the hardest part is coordinating all of it.
Yeah, that's exactly, because we've had offers for help. You know, like even with the cabinets, I mentioned this in a video.
But no one's available to help when you need them, because.
Well, yes, and the coordination's exactly it. You're like, well, now I can do it, but I'm not going to call anyone like random. Can you drop everything right now and come over? So it's like a lot of it has just been us.
Just a good thing I have a truck, because I've been to the dump a ton of times.
Huh. Same girl said, favorite things that Logan is doing right now.
Talking.
I was just gonna say talking, for sure. His vocabulary is insane. We were at the play place yesterday, and one of the moms was like, he's saying like 4-syllable words. And I was like, no, he's talking. Like, he's such a little parrot. He repeats so much, and his vocabulary is massive.
But it's not like,
especially
he can repeat pretty much anything you tell him, but he knows what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to climb on the ladder. I want to get on top.
Yes.
Okay.
You're like, oh.
The step stool, and he'll get up and climb up there. And it's like, I want to put on my shoes. Okay, go find your shoes. They're in the closet. And then
his thing this week,
you put your shoes on the wrong feet. You got to take them off and put it on the other one. And he'll take his shoes off, put the shoes on the other one. And
this week like he started asking, how you doing, mama? What you doing? I'm like, what? But he'll ask me, like, he woke up 3 nights in a row at like 2 in the morning. What you doing, mama? I'm like trying to sleep, but it's so cute. Or he'll go, you sleep well? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my goodness.
When I walked him next door today, he said, bye-bye, mama. I love you.
Yeah.
Like, you're too.
Heart. Do you love the sunshine?
That's a big sunshine.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
So beautiful. Okay, next question. Cindy P. It's so cute. I'm pregnant with my first.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. She said, did you co-sleep, sleep train, or intuitive sleep?
Intuitive sleep.
I think following their lead, like that's the opposite, I think, of sleep training. So sleep training is like a schedule that's set, and sleep training can mean a bunch of different things. It can involve crowding it out. And intuitive is just following their flow. So we have co-slept. We still kind of co-sleep. He goes to sleep in his room, but usually in the middle of the night, anywhere between 11 and 3 a.m., he wakes up, and then we bring him into our room. We were about to start working on figuring out how to keep him in his room so he'll go back to sleep, because if God gives us another baby, I'm just like, how the heck would that work? Waking up every 2 hours to feed a baby and then having him.
It's just so
cute,
wonderful to be able to sleep next to your kid.
I know, he's so cute. He's so cute.
Okay, I love it.
I know, me too.
I'm gonna be sad when he has to sleep in his room full time.
Oh, but I guess to the last thing about your sleep thing, follow your gut. Follow your gut.
Every kid's different.
Every kid's different, I would imagine. I only have one, but that's what I imagine. Someone asked, is Idaho your forever home, or would you ever move back to California? Never say never. I can't say Idaho's our forever home. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We don't have plans to go back to California.
At this point, like I couldn't
imagine it.
We still have lots of friends and family in California, but people don't wear helmets when they ride their motorcycles around here. Is that safe? No. Yes and no. The speed limit's 35, so that's really slow. Everyone's going slow, but you're able to see with your eyes how little the government has
just so much less restrictions out here.
You being here, it's like, oh, there's no rule for that. Growing up in California, there's rules and regulations for everything. And then when you're out of that, you're like, oh, freedom. Like, I'm free to ride a motorcycle without my helmet. Is that the smartest thing to do? Probably not. But the government isn't telling you that you have to do it. There's other things that you're not allowed to do here that you are allowed to do in other places, but just in general, it feels so much different, and I wouldn't want to go back to California to be under so much ruling.
Especially after the last 2 years, I would go insane.
Yeah.
I would go insane. So once, like, just different personality types, right? Like, different personality types can handle different things. Well, we couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, it's In and Out. Oh.
Someone was asking if there's, like, what's one thing we miss? Definitely In and Out. Definitely easier access to really yummy Mexican food. I miss that. I also miss that, I mean, definitely, no offense to all these other states, the food was better in California, but I think it's just because you've got such a large port. you have such a melting pot of people. It's such a large space, and the climate, you have so much access to produce. So lots of healthy, easy food options everywhere. So someone asked me, how has your fan base changed after you've started posting more controversial videos? Well, two things. One, I felt this the whole time. Like, if anyone's really paid attention to me, it's not like I've changed that much in terms of like stances on things. You know what I mean?
How
Like,
would
if you
we know?
watched,
How do you answer that question?
well, comments, engagement, because I was going to say that like since the cancellation, it's like the people that really like our work and appreciate, you know, what we're bringing to the internet have been so vocal about why they support us. And when they describe themselves, I'm like, man, like,
Right.
what do you mean you have 6 kids and you homeschool them? Like, that's so cool. Like, that's the fan base I want, you know?
But also, a lot of you guys will comment in saying that you've been watching our videos for like
That's
10
exactly
years.
it, yeah.
So, it's like, I feel like your audience can change from month to month because you have over 1 million subscribers, but just like any other channel, all your subscribers aren't watching all your videos. Some videos get more, some videos get less. So how do I know what the audience is?
But yeah, people's comments have been really great. And I would say since everything's gone down, a lot of the people that have chimed in, they've maybe been around the whole time, like you said, but now they're like telling me, like, I've never commented before, but you need to know X, Y, and Z. And it's really amazing. I said this before in a previous video. It's like, there's this feeling of like, we've been over here doing our thing for 10 years. And then all these people showed up, got the story wrong, or really just don't like us or whatever, and then are just mad. But
yeah, people filled in the blanks with our story, and then they
big time.
But then that's what's true to them because everybody's repeating the same thing.
Yeah, I was saying to my friend last night that is up here from California, I was like, I know the word nuance is used a lot, but literally it's astonishing to me to see some of these messages where I'm like, the nuance actually makes a huge difference in this story and how you understand things. Like, the tiny differences in this is a big difference. Like, I don't even know if I can say it. It also feels like something that can't be spoken. But like the thing of people saying like, you left an orphan in Thailand because you couldn't put them on camera. I'm like, the nuance here is a really big deal and is a totally different story. But like, by you changing a few words, it's like, you're on the right path, but not at all. Like, that's not at all what happened. It's
people
so
just
bizarre.
Have extremely poor listening skills.
That's what I keep saying through this whole thing. The internet is such a large pool of opinions. There is no winning. Like, we told the truth. You didn't hear all of the details. The people we received counsel from to make the decision did hear all the details, and that's why we ended up in the place that we ended up in. I've learned recently, like as recently as this week, that people don't even like dog trainers. So like all the people that were mad at us that were like, he didn't get enough training. Like, you didn't put him through enough training. Well, apparently people that are dog trainers like get death threats from people being mad at them for training them. So it's like having this realization of like, there's no winning because there are so many opinions on the internet, and we just happen to get caught up in a, like, we hit a chord and it blew up.
Is never going to find out more details about that situation, and that's what pisses people off. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with never filling you guys in with important details that may change a lot of people's opinion about us, but I don't care because the whole internet is such a crazy place that it doesn't matter what kind of information I can say to clear my name, because that can never happen. And
that was what I was going to say, is even though you're saying in theory some people might totally change their mind about us, I don't even believe that, because I think that people can read between the lines, and people that are on the same page as us are, I don't want to say smart enough, because I also realize it's just a different perspective, but we'll use that phrase. They're smart enough to realize from our history of 10 years, from following us, from the words we use, from the type of dog, you know, the breed that Bowser was, they go, oh, I get this. And the crazy part is,
my favorite breed of dog by far.
Yeah.
Also, and it's not just the breed is super powerful. They're just a solid muscle. Part of what I liked about him, he was a champion spooner. Like, you can really cuddle up with him and you don't feel bones. He's just solid. I'm so glad, I say it all the time,
that it wasn't worse.
I'm so thankful that, yeah, it wasn't worse.
So we've talked about this a lot, and it really is a weird thing of, like, I've said, we don't want to defend ourselves, but then we just like sit here and talk. But it's this weird combo because, like he said, you guys saw it go down. And so many of you, I've discovered through DMs, went through almost your own kind of trauma watching this happen to us, either because you've been watching for 10 years and it shocked you to see like all of a sudden all of this blow up and you're like, what? Or B, you went through a similar experience, and so it was kind of like reliving your own trauma and then watching people judge it. It was really weird. So when we talk about it, it's this fine line of like, yeah, we don't want to defend ourselves, but then also we kind of do, but then we don't, and then we want to talk to you guys. And it's weird. I will say this, even though I mentioned at the beginning.
But you know, one thing was also weird about this was we were seeing other stories in mainstream news of animal, like pets
within weeks
killing
babies.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yes, we all love dogs. They live in our homes. They love us back, but at the end of the day, they have large, sharp teeth, and they can do a lot of damage. If you've ever known a police officer that has followed a suspect to the hospital after a police dog bite, it is not a good situation. Their body parts are usually never the same afterwards, and I'm not just talking about scars, but the ligaments being surgically reattached. Sometimes they just leave them there. Yes, they still have their life, but not everybody gets to keep their life when they're attacked by a dog, depending on where the bite lands or how long they want to hold on. And yeah, it was just weird to see that.
All of those stories blow up right after ours.
Because it's like, I feel so grateful that my kid is safe.
Our theology is shaky, meaning we don't know for sure what we believe about what, other than like the super basics of Christianity. But in a vague sense of the way, this has felt like a hardcore spiritual battle. And like I said, I don't know when all is said and done, like what it is that God's teaching us through this. We're going to continue to learn and grow, but that's the best phrase I can put out there. Like a spiritual battle. The people that have come against us have been so repulsive in their language, in their actions. That's just all I feel around it. Just like a spiritual battle.
Yeah, people will say like awful things, and then they're all about anti-bullying.
The link in their bio, like someone literally sent me the most threatening message the other day, and the link in their bio was to stopbullying.gov. Do you still, this is a total subject change, but I just wanted to answer a couple more questions before we exit. Nikki, do you still have an assistant, and does Dan still help with getting shots? So we do still have like an assistant right now. I don't know why I put quotes around that. I think it's because she's a good friend of mine. So it's also just like weird to, I'm always like my assistant / friend, but she does still work with us. You know, at this point, she's the only one still working with us. We were working with more people prior to everything going down, and that's just not a possibility right now, but she still helps us with a lot of things that we're working on in the back end. And as far as Dan helping me get shots, yes.
I film and edit all the time.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
What?
It's still, I get all protective. I'm like, it's still my video because I'm the one that puts it into I'm the one that gives it its story. But Dan he'll do, like, I call it the skeleton. So he'll line things out and he'll pick up, you know, on the timeline, the best shots, the best moments. He'll cut the shakiness.
I edit some of it and then she finishes it off.
Yeah, but I get all protective over saying I finished off because I'm like, no, I'm the one. Like, I pick the music, I do the intros, I do my voiceovers, but
sometimes I don't edit it at all. And
sometimes
you do the whole thing.
Yeah, he does a lot of the lifting with me, and he helps me get shots when I need help. But I also like jimmy rigging my camera and like setting it on a bottle of oil, like balancing on a mug. So there was that. And then the last question I think I wanted to find, if I can find it. Well, basically the person asked, what are you looking forward to project-wise around the house in terms of like yogurt? Yes. Bone broth? Yes. Sourdough? Yes. Fermenting foods? Yes. So that's a short answer, but they had basically asked me like, what are you looking forward to do? All of them. Once we're settled in, I daydream about all of the fun kitchen things. Like I want to try my hand at kombucha again.
That we can't be making sourdough right now. We're just not.
No, there is an excuse. Our kitchen is covered in paint cabinets. I'm about to paint. Like when we stop this, I'm painting more.
That is a very good excuse, actually.
I know, it's a very good excuse.
Because you want the bacteria. Yeah, I don't need paint fumes in the air being the mother of my bread.
Exactly. So we'll be doing all of those things.
But I know how to make sourdough. I know how to make a new starter. I don't want to do that because I want like an older, more mature starter. So we're in the process of getting that. I can make a starter and then add that in afterwards if I want to do, but we're just doing other things right now.
Yeah, we're really excited about all of those projects though. The garden, the chickens, the bone broth, the sourdough, the fermented foods, the kombucha, all of it. Freezer cooking, we were just saying that the other day. We're like, man, it's like the longer we're here, the more we're like, oh yeah, we used to have another life where like we had a rhythm and like our freezer is slowly stocking back up and I'm loving it that I can be like, should I pull this freezer meal out for dinner? So we're just really excited to be settling back into some kind of normal, basically.
Hunting.
He's excited to hunt.
Didn't do it this year because I need to be a resident of the state.
Yeah, that's right.
To benefit from the low cost of like hunting tags and all that. If you're not a resident, it's a lot of money. So I just didn't care that much.
So yeah, he'll be excited about that too.
Too busy.
Yeah, there was too much going on. I mean, that's the thing. We're still like, I'm looking over here at a construction zone. So that's kind of the thing about the projects is like, we got to continue to get more settled in. And then we're definitely going to start doing all of those things because we're into all of them. We can't wait for the garden to grow, like just all of it. Very excited. So, but yeah, I mean, let me know if you guys have questions, thoughts. We'll see you down in the comments since the comment section is back open now. And maybe we'll do like either a part 2 with, I feel bad there were so many questions, or maybe I'll take questions from down below for in the next couple weeks or something like that. I don't know, you guys can just let me know, and that's pretty much it. So we will see you hopefully back here very soon, God willing, and all over the rest of the internet. And that's it.
That's it.
Bye.
See ya.